Well, you guys don't know me very well, but my opening remarks will be extremely brief. But I would like to thank the members of the Sun Belt Conference for providing this opportunity. This is an awesome opportunity for our program to be in this conference. 14 teams, 10 contiguous states. Our average conference travel went from 1,000 miles last year per game to 500 this year. So that's an awesome deal for our student athletes, for our fans, and everybody like that. I'd also like to say this is a great atmosphere right here. The people in charge of this, the administration of the Sun Belt Conference, have done a great job. Congratulations to Commissioner Gill on his contract extension. We're excited about his leadership into the future. And after that, let's open it up because no one wants to hear me talk. You guys you guys got questions you want answered, so let's do it.
I would like to introduce one more person with the new teams in the league. Eric Bohannon is the Sports Information Director at ODU. Eric, are you here? Just give a wave so you can get a little FaceTime and know who he is. We'll now take questions from Coach Rahne and the student athletes. For those of you here in the room, if you have a question, we ask you to please raise your hand and please stand up when you do so we can get you on camera. Wait for the microphone, please, to come to you. State your name and your media affiliation, please, before asking your question. For those of you watching us on Zoom, we ask you to type your questions into the chat, and I will read those aloud. Any questions from in the room?
Coach Rahne, Emmanuel Pepper, Sun Belt Conference. Talking about this team last year, of course, you guys went on quite a run at the end of the regular season. You won 5 straight games, averaged 36 points per game, I believe. Talk about what that kind of confidence and what that build-up can do for especially not only the returners but the new guys as well, especially coming in such a competitive league.
Yeah, obviously this is a very competitive league. There's some great teams in this league, and that's a great opportunity for us. We get to play and make a national name for ourselves by playing some great football teams. The end of the season last year was awesome for us. We started off the season, we'll just call it less than ideal, a 1-6. But if you look at it, we had some close games in there, and we just didn't know how to close games. And we didn't know how to finish off games and win those games. We were able to make that transition in the Louisiana Tech game when we kicked 2 field goals in the last 2 minutes of the game to get that win, and that was huge for us. And I don't believe in momentum from year to year. I think that's a myth. 30-year team graduates, and now with the transfer portal, teams are leaving and all those sort of things. So every year you have to rebuild your program, rebuild the culture that you're going to have, and there's not going to be momentum that's going to happen. But we do have, like the 2 young men we have up here today, guys who have been in the system now for 2 years, guys who know what is expected of them. They know what's expected on Friday nights. They know what pregame is going to look like. They know what pregame meal is going to look like, and that's important because they can help establish that culture going forward, and they know what winning looks like as well.
Harry Minnie from ODU Sports, and I've already asked you this, Ricky, but I'll ask you again. Pick 7th, you've got 17 starters back. What does that mean?
Come all the way to New Orleans to hear Harry ask that question. I would say that, somebody's got to, here's the thing. The preseason polls, the guys who just were picked first said the same thing, right? App State just said the same thing. Preseason polls are not worth the paper that they're printed on. They're not worth the digital, megabytes that people use to put them out there. They're there to create, excitement for college football in general, and they're going to do these sort of things. But you look every single year, there's a top 10 team in the country that ends up going 500 or doesn't even make a bowl game. We've got to go out there and we've got to prove ourselves each and every game. We're earning the right to win right now, and that's what's going to be important. But we're focused on what we're going to do and where we're going to be. I know we have higher expectations for ourselves than that. And that's really all that matters. And I think that's the thing that if you look at Old Dominion, that's who we are. We're a group that other people have set one sort of expectations for us, and we set a whole nother expectation. We're a group that has, 3 out of the last 4 semesters we've had over a 3.0 GPA as a team. And teams, people didn't have that expectations for our kids. They did. And they were able to accomplish that through hard work and through the hard work of our academic staff. And I think those are the type of things that, we're not going to let other people dictate how we should feel. And we're not going to let it be motivation. Everyone's like, oh, it's motivation, it's motivation. If we're at a place where we need that type of, extrinsic motivation, what are we going to do when they pick us first? So we need to, we're about ourselves and where we're going to go. We've got to have that internal motivation. That's what's going to make us good long term.
I have a Zoom question. That's tight end Zack Kuntz is on your left, for those of you in the audience, and safety Arterian Johnson is on your right. I have a Zoom question for our two student athletes, is that this year you're coming into a season where you did play last year. The program did not play 2 years ago. How difficult was that, and how much of an advantage is it to now have a season sort of under your belt?
Yeah, I can start that. Well, what I'd say on that, really, having that season like with our team, as we kind of said, like putting all the pieces together, it is a different animal, having the transfer portal and obviously COVID and these battling through some adversity. But, having that season and going into a new conference, it's a whole new slew of teams, a whole new level of competition that we're all super excited for. It's just going to be many different opportunities for us, to show what we're made of, and we're excited for that opportunity.
For me, it was tough for me because I didn't play in 2019. I had the redshirt that year, so I actually missed 2 seasons without playing football. So it was very tough for me. I think 2020, it really just made me focus in, and I think I can speak for the team when I say that we all had to focus in and just better ourselves. And moving into the Sun Belt this season, I think it's going to be a great atmosphere playing against these good teams in the East, and I think we're ready for it.
I would say one thing that, not playing in that season reminded us all how much we love the game of football. Sometimes it's a grind when you go from season to off season and recruiting, and you go and go and go and go and go, and you never get to look back on things. And that 2020 season forced us all to realize how much we love the game, how much we love being out there. Put us in a parking lot and we would have played that year. So, I think that was something that it humbled us and made us appreciate every day that we get to play with each other.
Also have a question from Zoom from Mark Davis of WTKR. For Coach, how is the quarterback competition looking, and is there a front runner as you enter camp, or is it a multi-horse race?
No, our quarterback competition is still open right now. Obviously, we had Hayden Wolf, who started our last 7 games last year, including our bowl game, went 5-2 and did a great job. But really, we've got some other guys who have played. We have a guy who started our first 6 games, DJ Mack, and he's still in the competition. We also have Brendan Clark, who came to us from University of Notre Dame, and he's a guy who he's got a chance as well. So this is going to be a 3-team battle, and we're going to let this thing play out a little bit because we want to see who's going to give us the best chance in order for us to win football games. These guys deserve this. The quarterbacks would want the tight ends to play it out to see who's going to be the best one, the safeties, all those sort of things. So the other 85 guys on the team, they want to know, hey, let's make sure we get the best quarterback out there to help us win each and every game.
Raymond Parch with the game, 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles. This is for Coach and the players. You guys started off slow last season, getting up and running, but you finished so strong. What are some of the things that you have to make sure to do this season to start off the season strong and not put yourself in such a hole, especially playing against maybe even better competition in your non-conference schedule and in your conference schedule?
I'll let them go first, see if they get it right, and then I'll go.
I'll say start fast and finish. I think some games we started fast but didn't finish. Some games we started slow and then we finished. So I say we just put both of them together.
Yeah, I think it's also important, though, as Coach Rahne kind of said earlier, is that having that season under our belt together now, and we do have as many guys as we have coming back, is we have that in-game experience. And I feel like last year a lot of guys, we're kind of figuring out our roles and kind of seeing, what we're good at with some things we need to work on. And we're open about that. And we have conversations as players about, hey, if I'm going against RT, we're talking with each other after every single rep about, hey, if you do this to me, tight end might not like this, or if he's talking to me, helping me out. So, we're all really in that together, helping each other improve on those certain things. And so I feel like that's extremely beneficial.
They both kind of touched on it. I think we just got to be consistent. We've got to be consistent in practice. We can't afford to have a bad day, a bad period, a bad, set of plays and that sort of thing. Right now, that was our issue last year. We just didn't play as consistent as we needed to, and that's the main thing. And that happens in practice. That's not something that you just say, "Hey, we're going to be consistent." You are. You have to develop that through practice, and you have to be consistent each and every day. That's where our 1-0 mentality comes up. We got to focus on being as good as we can that day, as good as we can that play, and that's the important part. And that's where I think we've really got to continue to focus on.
Coach Mitchell Gladstone with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I'm curious, that's obviously 2 months away from now, and there's obviously a lot between now and then, and you're playing 3 opponents you're very familiar with. I'm curious, when you get to that Week 4 game against Arkansas State, and it is the first time you're playing a Sun Belt game, will you be able to sort of think, okay, this is a new era for us, this is starting something fresh, or is it just going to be, because you're in the middle of the season, you're in the foxhole, it's just another game for you guys?
Yeah, obviously there will be probably a little bit more pomp and circumstance to that game, just because it's our first Sun Belt game. But for us, you're focused on going 1-0 each and every week. A lot of people have talked about our schedule and how daunting it is, which we have a challenging schedule. But like I've told some people, we don't play them all at once. Right? They're not all coming at us at once. We've got to go focused on being 1-0 each and every week, and I think that'll be the same thing that week. I'll let our administrators and everybody focus on the fact that it's our first Sun Belt game. For us, it's another opportunity to play in front of our fans, another opportunity to go get a win, and that'll be what's important to what we're doing that week.
Hey, Coach, Kevin Foote from the Acadiana Advocate. If you could just talk about your running backs that you have coming back in the offensive line. You play in a very physical division, especially with the top and pass protection and running the football, the job of your offensive line coming into the season.
Yeah, so we have 10 overall starters coming back. We lost Isaac Weaver, who's with the Chargers right now. Isaac was a captain of ours last year and kind of the heart and soul of who we were. But we still have 4 of our offensive linemen coming back who started. And in fact, we have a 5th guy who started multiple games for us. So we've got some great depth at the offensive line. Feel very good about that. We were able to run the ball, especially late in the year. At one point, we put together, our starting running back had 6 straight games where he had over 100 yards. Obviously, that's also part of our tight ends blocking as well, and our wide receivers downfield too. So, I feel very confident that we can compete at a physical level in terms of running the ball. I understand it's a physical conference. That's one of the things I love about it. And that's how I like to play football. I think that's how the game of football should be played. So I'm excited for that. Our running backs, we have a guy coming back who's a very good player, Blake Watson, who played wide receiver for most of his life and last year played running back. I thought he ran the ball exceptionally well between the tackles in the A and B gap. That was something we all questioned, and he did a great job. He also was extremely durable, played tough, ran tough. I think that there's some more explosive plays left in him, and I think that's one thing that he can improve on this year. But then we've got some running back depth. If you look at some of our guys, we've got some great running back depth that I'm excited about that I think are going to help us not only keep Blake healthier throughout the year, but they'll create their own explosive plays and then also really help us on special teams as well. So those are 2 of the positions that I'm really excited about, quite frankly.
I have a Zoom question from David Hall of the Virginian Pilot. This is for Zack and Artarian. What do you think about being picked last in the East Division? Is it disrespectful, or does it even matter?
Honestly, with that, I think, again, like I said earlier, with having the transfer portal and how things are different, it honestly makes an analyst's job harder and harder because, it's hard to see how, if a kid were to transfer from one place to another, how their impact's going to be. Like I know in my personal experience of transferring, my impact has been different, and you can't always expect those types of things. And someone has to be in that spot. If anything, it puts a larger chip on our shoulder, and we'll take that going into the season.
Like I said in one of these interviews earlier, they put us in last, and we just coming for the top floor, man. It's a bigger chip on our shoulder. We always the underdog, so underdog gonna always come on top.
And a similar Zoom question for the student athletes. Can you give us your comments about the East Division? We heard the commissioner talk about how strong the East was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we're super excited to be playing, the teams that we are. Some familiar opponents, that we played last year. So we're excited to make that transition. It's a great opportunity to show what we're made of, and what we've been working on this whole off season and going into camp. So we're super excited for the opportunity.
Kind of what Zack said. I'm excited to play these guys though. The East has a lot of great teams like App State, Coastal Carolina. And of course, we already played Marshall and Georgia Southern, Georgia State, JMU. I think we just ready to have some fun in the sun.
Hi guys, Charlie Krause, Coach and Crew Show. You used the phrase pomp and circumstance to talk about your opening of the Sun Belt Conference game. I'm sure pomp and circumstance will open up your season as well as Virginia Tech comes to town. But you have a chance basically to win a state championship. Can you talk about having to play 3 other Commonwealth of Virginia schools and what that possibly means towards recruiting and such?
Because we play Liberty as well.
Who'd I leave off? Virginia Tech, Virginia, Liberty,
and JMU. Yeah. So we get to play 4, which is we'll be the first team in the state of Virginia to play all at an FBS level at the same time. So that's going to be an unbelievable deal for us. I mean, that's something I think that's going to be great for the state of Virginia, that we're getting the opportunity to showcase ourselves. The first game is going to be a great thing for the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth. We're going to be able to showcase Virginia football at a national level, and it's going to be a great deal. I think for our kids, it's something where, hey, they look to prove themselves against the best, and we get to play 2 ACC opponents, which is going to be a great deal. And then we play in, the toughest, group of 5 division in college football. So I'm excited about that. I know they are. Being able to, like you say, win a state championship, I just think it's great because it shows our commitment to, what college football should be, which is, regional powers playing each other and letting our fans experience some of that. I know I'm not supposed to use this word and whatever, but in college football, hate is good. Hate is passion. Indifference is terrible. And unfortunately, our fans were a little indifferent about who we played in our former conference. That's not their fault. It's not the conference's fault. It's just human emotion. But when they wake up in the morning, when I wake up in the morning, I go through, Larchmont, and I'm taking a walk with my wife and my St. Bernard, and I see flags from a bunch of these other schools. That's how college football is supposed to be. And I'm excited about that. That's what our conference has dove into, and they're excited about that. Our players are certainly excited to play these teams as well.
One more over here.
Scott Watkins, Sun Herald. This question's for Johnson. Since you arrived at Old Dominion, you haven't really had the opportunity to play a game close to home. This year you play at South Alabama. Have you thought about that opportunity and what it may mean for you, your family, and friends?
Yeah, that's going to be my homecoming game. That's Thanksgiving break. I actually got a best friend that plays running back there, Terrion Avery. He's number 7 now. So that's going to be kind of like our homecoming game. So, yeah, we got our high school bringing buses over and stuff like that. Our family and friends are going to be there. So, yeah, it's going to be a big deal.
This is a great atmosphere right here. But my favorite moment of this weekend is still going to be, his family drove 1.5 hours each way to come see him for 30 minutes last night. That was an awesome deal. And to be able to give him the opportunity to play in front of his people, man, that means the world.
And you've already got his number picked out. Any other questions from in the room? Coach, Zack, Arters, we really appreciate you being with us. Thank you very much. And for those of you in the room, we will continue at 11:30. That is 11 minutes from now with the Eagles of Georgia Southern.